Hello Scorpio, Scorpio rising and Scorpio moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for the month of December 2017. And a quick reminder for all of you Scorpios out there, remember that these horoscopes talk about the long-standing, sweeping aspects of a month. Which means I never talk about anything that is here today, gone tomorrow. There's no one-day aspect that I talk about in these videos. So if you are looking for more short-term aspects, please check out your weekly horoscopes. The first half is always exclusively astrology, so there's something in it for everybody. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com. So, what is going on with your astrology this month anyway? Well, got a huge emphasis on your earned income sector. The second house, employment, money, salary, and it all seems to be going quite well. Between the 1st and the 25th, we've got Venus in this aspect, in this area, excuse me. And Venus is actually working on bringing you easy money, easy opportunities to rake in some extra dough. We may be finding out that you're getting paid more for doing less, people are offering you more favors, and people are actually giving you top pick and top choice of the jobs and assignments that you want to do. This is also an excellent time for those of you looking to perhaps actually make some special requests when it comes to work, make some special changes to the way things are done. Maybe you want to change a benefits package, maybe you want to take some time off. Venus is saying that people will be more inclined to agree and give you what you're asking for. We also have with Venus in this area, again, the opportunity for you to get more popular at the office with people who actually would be, again, cluing you in and linking you up to more lucrative opportunities and more lucrative packages, more lucrative assignments for you to do to keep going even after Venus leaves this area. We also have, however, Mercury retrograde in this part of your chart from the 3rd to the 22nd. And with Mercury retrograde in the second house, it can be kind of interesting. There are some frustrations that can come up, especially when it comes to transactions. Mercury retrograde in the second house, believe me, can indicate some challenges when it comes to, things getting delivered, or perhaps even some technical issues at the office that you may have to find another way around or a loophole around. Sometimes with Mercury retrograde as well, we may have to work on repeating ourselves a bit more when it comes to clients, customers, and associates, because there may be something going on in, again, the communication. There could be a communication breakdown, where again, certain things are not getting delivered, maybe certain emails, certain memos. We really need to work on making sure that everything is getting where it needs to go, so don't be afraid to check in. That means those of you looking for new jobs, we definitely want to make sure that we are not just sitting around waiting to see if somebody's going to call us back. Even if it seems to go against standard practice for whatever you're applying for, check-ins are ultimately necessary. However, in a good way, Mercury retrograde can bring old opportunities back to you. Old clients and customers, or possibly even old employers offering to give you more to come back. On the 3rd, we have a full moon in Gemini, in your 8th house of shared resources and passive income. And this could actually be a lovely, lovely energy from the 3rd to the 17th. We could be closing some kind of expense, some kind of debt, or something that you are tied up with financially, or a partner's tied up with financially, that's been draining your finances, or draining your joint finances, again, if you're married or sharing your money that way. And with the full moon here, we find that we have more to spend because we have more we're saving. A full moon in the 8th house can also indicate a very intimate month, because we tend to notice with a full moon in the 8th house, people are a lot more passionate and a lot more affectionate. The energy is raised to a very high peak, and sometimes we tend to see just a little bit more hot activities going on in the middle of the month for you. So it sounds like all in all very much fun still to come. On the 9th, we have Mars, planet of action and energy and conviction, moving into your sign, where he will be all the way up until the end of January. And with Mars in your sign, you get the wildcard benefits of Mars. This means, the action, the power to overcome any obstacles, to remove something standing in your way, to clear roadblocks, and to seriously actually get the leg up on any competitive situation that you're stuck in. If you are in a competitive space, whether it's socially, professionally, Mars in your sign is giving you the opportunity for a win. You could be seeing your numbers soar if you compete for, say, votes, if you compete for attention, if you compete for numbers. This is where we see Mars doing its best work for you. Mars in your sign can also bring you a lot of extra vitality, a lot of extra physical energy to to use at your disposal. If you're trying to promote yourself or you're trying to actually find more hours in a day, Mars is there to give it to you. However, with Mars in your sign, be very mindful. Sometimes, our touch is much heavier than we could have expected. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we are volunteering to take on more than we possibly can just because for the next month and a half we feel like we can. We may not be able to keep it up for such a long period, but it is a get-ahead opportunity and moment. Mars here can also work as a powerful defender. For those of you that are feeling like maybe you're in a conflict with somebody, you need to go challenge, maybe a power that seems bigger than you, Mars will be giving you the way to actually win this war, even if you are, again, up against something that seems to be much larger and perhaps have, on paper, more resources and more influence behind it. Usually we tend to see with Mars in the first house for people the opportunity to throw down something that a lot of other people were too afraid to challenge. On the 18th, we've got a new moon in your second house, your earned income sector. And this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of you looking for new work to seal the deal on a new opportunity. If you've been looking for a new job, whether with the present employer or with, a brand new employer, this new moon in the last 2 weeks of the month will be delivering that opportunity to you. Again, during this Mercury retrograde period up until the 22nd, it could be somewhere you've looked before. But if you decide to take this up, make sure that, again, you are doing these interviews and you are signing these applications and turning in your CVs after the 22nd so that we make sure that they're delivered on time and to the right people. That being said, I do want to make sure everyone knows, again, astrology requires your participation. We're talking about the weather here in terms of energy. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking advantage of these time frames. On the 19th, we have Saturn moving into Capricorn, your third house of communications, pacts, and promises, where Saturn is going to spend the next 2.5 years refining your style of communication. And to be honest, this is one of the more easy aspects to have. Saturn in the third is usually working for you, not against you anyway. But when Saturn's in Capricorn, his energy is a lot more, I guess you could say, gentle, a lot more easy to process, a lot more easy to handle. Saturn's not the scapegoat that everyone makes him out to be, kind of like in every other aspect of the astrology. Saturn really shouldn't be a scapegoat anyway, but you know how it goes. And with Saturn in the third in Capricorn for the next 2.5 years, a lot of you Scorpios are going to be learning how to communicate more effectively, but also having your personal style of, again, speaking your truth challenged. Sometimes we have to refine the way we speak because we are too vague, we're too nice, we're too mean. We may be finding that Saturn is also, bringing us in contact with people, everyone taking us way more seriously. And this can be a good thing, or it can sometimes be a bad thing, because sometimes it can feel like, well, God, we're always on, right? People take us always way too seriously and take us at face value when we really want to be subtle, we really want to be clever, we want, whatever. But with Saturn in the third, we don't necessarily get to do that. You're sort of put in a leadership position involuntarily. One of the things about Saturn in the third house that you've also got to understand is that you're influencing more people, and what you do with that influence matters. Saturn may bring some stuff up that you've been afraid to confront during this time. I always tell people Saturn grabs our attention by setting fire to what we put on the back burner, just so we take it off the back burner. We may not necessarily know what we influence or how we influence people, and we may have to take responsibility for how far our voice reaches and what our influence does when it happens to so-and-so, or when it happens to this group, or what direction it goes in. Use this tool wisely because, again, it's working for you, not against you. It's actually bringing you more power and influence, but at the same time, to use it unwisely is to, get burned. It will burn the untrained. We also have the Sun moving into this area on the 19th, where he will be until about the third week of January, bringing some much-needed lightheartedness and some much-needed fun into this area of your chart. You will be noticing that lines of communication are opening with a lot of folks we've not been in contact with for some time. And with the Sun in the third house, opening those lines of communication can actually be very nice. And it possibly could bring us an opportunity to learn to where we can rely on others. That's also a big part of Saturn in the third. We don't want all that control all the time. We need to know when to stop and to give up control, when to not be the leader, when to not be in charge, or when we need to be in charge when we've submitted too much. And the Sun is kind of showing us gently that balance between the 19th and the 3rd week of January, and you're going to be noticing again a better team around you. On the 25th, Venus will be moving into this area. And Venus in the 3rd house is a lovely aspect to have, because Venus in the 3rd house says, you know, you have the gift of gab and the silver tongue. Negotiations will be going much easier for you, and people will be going out of their way to hook you up with the best opportunities and the best possibilities when it comes to both love and your professional life. Again, learning to trust other people to do that work for you is a big lesson, and I think that the last couple of weeks of this year and the first couple of weeks of next year are going to show you how good that can be. So that is your horoscope. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com.